The phrase mindset is everything encapsulates a powerful concept that emphasizes the immense influence of our thoughts, beliefs, attitudes, and all of that. The way we think shapes our actions, decisions, even our reality. Welcome to Presente, a space and community that vibes on being in the moment, something we are relearning how to do in a fast moving world.
We are excited to be part of a growing movement that talks about topics that we feel haven't been talked about in our Latin culture and womanhood.
Be present with us. Take a pause and break down societal norms.
Redefine the meaning of existing. Welcome to Presente, the podcast. Our minds are always racing with many thoughts. Google says between 6,000 to 100,000. They can consist of thoughts of inspiration, our to-do list, taking those next steps, managing our emotions. But wait a second, everybody. We're on Presente. Breathe. Respira. In the words of Willie Green, author and content creator of We the Urban, a popular platform that writes on reminders for the souls and celebrating growth, has a section on his book, Not Sure Who Needs to Hear This, but on the chapter of ways to access peace, number 7 on his list was to ask for help. You guys remember popular games like Mortal Kombat? One of their slogan goes to test your might. Your minds are your greatest asset. She's a memory holder, a compass to your values and morals, planner, etc. Your mind is all of you. And you at times may need to shift it, and that support can come from a coach, therapist, or mentor. Sometimes our thoughts can get the best of us, he says in his book, but you don't need to be at your lowest to get help. Seeking professional help is a form of self-love. He lists therapy, but again, there's a multitude of trained professionals that you can seek. And seek and you shall find or receive. Thank you to author Willie Green. I encourage, if you love his Instagram page, pick up his book, Not Sure Who Needs to Hear This, but from We the Urban. Mindset is everything.
Here on Presente, we are deep diving into the journeys of personal growth, self-discovery, and transformation. Today, I am excited to introduce our first guest of the year, Sera Rivera, a renowned life coach. From navigating career transitions to boosting personal confidence, Sera brings practical strategies to the table. We know life be lifing, so whether you're looking to break through limiting beliefs, find your purpose, or build better habits, today's conversation will offer you powerful tools to elevate your mindset.
What's going on? It's your girl, Sera Rivera, your favorite life coach, and you're tuning into Presente Podcast.
Sera, thank you so much for joining the podcast. I am so pleased to reconnect with you and have you on this show. For those of you who are tuning in, Sera and I met a few years back early on during the pandemic. She was doing her baking business along with me doing my candle business. And it was very nice to connect with a fellow entrepreneur. And actually, we partaked in a pop-up shop here in New York City, and it was amazing. I mean, you brought down the house. It was really nice and fun. And I just love to know that now you're in a whole different stage of your life. You are now a life coach. And, I can truly see where that stems from. Your personality is vibrant. You have an infectious smile. And, I love how you are now paying it forward and helping others, shine their light as well. Thank you so much for being on the show. Can you please explain the concept of mindset and why it is so important in achieving personal success?
What's going on, Jennifer? Thank you for having me here. It's an absolute pleasure to be here and to share space with you again. Mindset. Mindset is so important. It's the most powerful tool that you can have as a person. Mindset is just not thinking about things you think about every day, right? It's about how you see yourself, your abilities, those around you. Mindset is ultimately impacted by your experiences, whether they be good or bad, and your past traumas, of course, right? Because a lot of the things we learn in life are that learned things. We're not born having these traits or picking up these patterns. We learn them along the way. So mindset is extremely important. And the way we are impacted in life ultimately kind of guides our journey. So for example, someone having a speech, right? Having to speak at an event. Somebody with a good experience may be excited. Their mindset is tuned into the positive. Oh, I'm excited to be a speaker. I'm excited to present this information. Whereas somebody who had a bad experience speaking may feel very anxious and withdrawn and, may not want to do the event. And it may be an even more traumatic experience for them. So it's all about the perception you have on life. That's why mindset is ultimately so important. Mindset directly impacts the way you show up in life also. And this is kind of what steered me into life coaching, because I didn't understand within myself how my emotions and lack of understanding them caused me my peace in many situations. So when I learned about how to shift my mindset and kind of push through and heal and grow in a way that was beneficial to me and my growth through mindset changing, it kind of changed the game for me. It impacts things like emotional healing, building a business, all the way to finding and creating peace for yourself. So one thing I like to refer to, right? Because a lot of people think that changing your mindset or healing is a bad thing. Life coaching is a bad thing, right? It means that I have a problem and you're here to tell me what my problem is and we need to fix it. But ultimately, that's not the goal. So like what I want to provide you with an example with is, say, for instance, you have a friend and this friend has an attitude, right? And every time you get around this friend, you just naturally feel triggered in emotions. Your mindset is just like, I cannot stand this person. This person makes my skin crawl. Why does this happen? Every time I'm around this person, like clockwork, right? How you're probably wondering, like, how can this affect me in my future endeavors in my business? It does, because guess what? If you don't handle and resolve and find the root of why your mindset is like that, why you're thinking and feeling like that, why you're having those emotions, and you run into somebody in the future who has those same qualities and kind of replicate the behavior of that friend, then you're going to miss out on an opportunity or ruin an opportunity because you're not able to self-soothe. You're easily triggered by something. And once you understand the roots, then you can unpack it and you can kind of redirect yourself in a way that would be beneficial to your growth. So mindset shapes how you approach challenges and, setbacks and opportunities. So mindset is vital in life. And I think that a lot of the time we don't give mindset enough credit as to why we are the way we are and how successful we can become.
That was great. The way you broke it down definitely makes sense. It's crazy because like emotion wise, you don't really think that there's a root to that. You just think that at surface level, this is the emotion you're feeling. I can be definitely guilty by association with that. There are times where I can cope with things better than others. And it does depend on the mindset, it really does. So thank you for putting that into perspective for myself. I hope our listeners are catching on to that as well. You touch based on some of the misconceptions that people have with life coaching. What is one of like the biggest ones? Is it like just fear of being told what, this is your symptom? I'm not sure.
So I think there are a range of misconception, especially when it's about like getting self-help, right? It's always looked at with such a stigma. It's always looked at as something that makes you feel like you're not okay. And it's not really that. So I feel like the biggest misconception is that a life coach would just judge you and tell you what to do. Absolutely. I feel like hands down, that's the first thing you think about when you think about life coaching, when you think about a therapist, when you think about any type of or form of help that you can receive from another person. When in fact, what the job of a life coach is just to really empower you to find the answers within yourself. So instead of diagnosing, because that's not what life coaches do. We're not a therapist, we're not a psychiatrist. We don't diagnose you. We help guide you and ask you questions so that you can reflect and understand and then get answers out of that. So ultimately, the goal of life coaching is to help you gain guidance, support, and helping you gain clarity so that you can confidently make decisions that align with your goals and values. For example, let's say it took me a long time to accept my role as a potential life coach prior to me becoming a life coach. God put it on my heart, but I didn't feel as if anyone would care enough to hear me and what I had to say, even though my experience showed me what I have to say and share with others is valuable because it's like a roadmap as to how they can get out of where they are. Because I've been through a lot in my life, but I still had this limiting belief of, nobody wants to hear me. They wouldn't care enough to know what I would have to say that could possibly help. So if I had a client that was like me then, a life coach would ask questions as to why I feel that way. Instead of telling me you feel this way because of this, it's like, well, why do you think you feel that way? And then you kind of in your mind thinking like, well, I feel that way because when I was little, I was always kind of dismissed in a way and not really heard. And then growing up, I developed these patterns of feeling dismissed and not heard. And then in my future relationships, I got with people who dismissed me and didn't hear me. So now throughout my life, there are these patterns that I'm now unpacking because of that question in life coaching, that I'm now understanding the root. So life coaching is ultimately exposing the root so that I can self-reflect and then change my narrative. Because if I don't understand where it stems from, then I'm going to be stuck in this gray area, or I'm just going to be stagnant and not have any growth, or fall into depression or fall into anxiety all the time, or fall into panic attacks and develop these sicknesses. Because ultimately, that's what happens when you don't deal and unpack the things that you've went through in life. So you need that guidance. And there's nothing wrong with it. You need those people to ask those questions that really trigger the thoughts in your mind. And sometimes it's thoughts that you don't want to relive. But guess what? Once you deal with them and you feel them, and develop ways, especially with a life coach who can guide you and provide you with resources and tools to use, you develop ways to get over it and push through it. So then guess what? In the future, you're not as shell-shocked when things happen. You're not triggered anymore. You know how to better handle things. So you're out of that dark place, and now you're in a place of growth where you do run into situations of the past. They don't affect you as much as they did before, because now you have the resources, the knowledge, and the tools to get through them. And that's how you become the most successful. That's how you live the most authentic life that you can live and create that inner peace. But you have to deal with the things that you feel and unpack them and understand, right? The big thing is understanding for me as a life coach, so that you can then change the narrative. Because everything that we have learned from young up until now are learned habits, are learned patterns. That means that they are not concrete and they are not forever. If you learn something, you can unlearn it and relearn something else. And it might take time, and it might take perseverance and hard work, but it is doable. And once you kind of break the chains away and get out of that mentality of, oh, this is hard work, I'll never get over this or through this, then you free yourself from all of that. That's that's what I would like to say about that. So I guess ultimately, like, life coaching is just not about fixing people. We aren't therapists, psychologists. We are just here with the goal to unlock your greatest potential. Well, at least I am. That's the type of life coach that I want to be. I want to help you get to the best version of you authentically.
I love that.
I was going to say, you definitely pulled some heartstrings. I felt every word. And definitely, I feel like self-awareness, as you mentioned, is the key thing to progress and shift your mindset. I feel like as a person, I always feel like I have to call myself out, because I'm an introvert, heavy introvert, and doing things such as this does put me in a place where I'm scared, but I'm at the same time, I know that I'm empowering myself by just pushing through the limit and pushing through that wall, because I like to journal and ask myself, okay, why do I feel this way? You want to change, change doesn't happen if change doesn't happen. You have to find it within yourself to persevere, as you said. Definitely very healing advice. So thank you for sharing that with our listeners. And Presente, is an embodiment of breaking generational patterns. It's an embodiment of, doing shadow work, going within, and revealing why, we feel the way that we do. So I'm going to move the question over to, what are the most common mental blocks that you see in people, and how can they overcome them? This question was important because I want to know. For sure.
So, of course, for our listeners, I just want to define a mental block really quick. Mental block is like a mental barrier that prevents you from thinking clearly or making decisions or even taking action, right? Mental blocks are often connected to past experiences and traumas. Most things are learned behaviors, like I've been mentioning throughout the podcast. We over time develop these mental blocks because of our experiences or our traumas that we go through. And they show up in big ways. They can show up through our emotions, our limiting beliefs, or even our perfectionism. Like the need to have everything perfect first is a defense mechanism. Some may think of it as a great thing because we all strive for the best, but it's always progress over perfection, because if you wait for that time that everything is perfect, you'll be waiting forever. So I say like the top 3 mental blocks that I can talk about as a life coach, it would be fear of failure, low self-worth, and perfectionism. And to dive in a little deep on each of those, the fear of failure, people are afraid to mess up or be judged. But I think what they fail to understand is that these mess up are big opportunities for growth. I find one of the things that I do with myself often, and I encourage others to do, is when things happen that is a mess up or an obstacle occurs, we generally like to say, why is this happening to me? Why me? And then if we get stuck in that mindset, right? We're talking about mindset. If we get stuck in that mindset, then it's the woe is me, like nothing's ever going to get better. You're negatively speaking over your life, and we've learned these behaviors sometimes, and it's hard to break out of. But if we change that, why is this happening to me, to what can I learn from this? Then you kind of take the power away and it becomes something that is no longer making you feel shame or guilt. And it feels more empowering, like, all right, well, I noticed that this is what this taught me. And going forward, this is how I'm going to move, or this is how I'm going to react. It's really just shifting the focus and changing the narrative to your mindset. When it comes to low self-worth, I call it like the I don't deserve era. A lot of the times life, like you said, life be lifing, and we go through things and obstacles and situations or be with the wrong people that kind of make you question who you are. And then you become like a shell of the person you are. And then you start to believe that you don't deserve anything good. So it's like, why am I going to sit here and get coaching? My life is worthless right now. Like, I don't got nothing good for me. I'm lazy. I'm this, I'm that. Like, I'm never going to do anything good. So it's that low self-worth era that a lot of people can get stuck in if they don't actively, one, have community around them to help support, and 2, like just push through and challenge the negative thoughts that you have. And the last thing is perfectionism. If it's not the perfect time, I cannot act on it. If we were to all act on the things that we want to do in life, or the things that have been placed in our hearts to do when it was time to do them, picture how much farther in your life you would be right now in those moments. I'm a firm believer that if God, source, universe places something in your mind, in your heart, it's for you. Nothing can stop you. Got to get out of your head with those limiting beliefs, but there's no perfect time for it. It's your thought. It's your thing to kind of push forward and to do. One of the things that I think is a great tool is the 5-second rule. You have a thought, you act on it within the 5 seconds. There's somebody on Instagram, and I can't remember, and she's so big, Mel Robbins. She does it, and she's like, all right, this is the thought. I have 5 seconds to do it. From anything as small as getting up in the morning from bed to making big decisions. All you have to do is put it in action. So say, for instance, in the middle of the night, I have Post-its around my room so I can write down notes and stuff because I'm forgetful. But also when I have these ideas or downloads, then I'm like, all right, 5-second rule. By me writing it down on a Post-it and putting it somewhere, that's me putting into action. Because guess what? If I don't do that and I go back to sleep, days go by, I don't remember it as vividly. There goes the dream, there goes the thought, there goes the download that I got, and a waste of what the purpose was for it to be, So perfectionism is another mental block that has us all in a chokehold sometimes, or we can't break out of it and we just stay stagnant a little longer than we should because we're afraid that it's not good enough because it's not perfect. So I want to say there has to be the willingness, like you say, to have self-awareness, the mindset shift, and taking aligned action, right? And aligned action is just like the goal you want to achieve, doing things of action within that's going to help you get to that goal. And the top 3 resources that I can really say that honestly help is coaching, however that may look. Find a mentor, find a life coach, a therapist, whatever it is that can help guide you and just give you a little bit of that extra support. I'm so big on community. That's why I kind of started my life coaching, my group life coaching specifically, because I know what that did for me in dark times. And what I gained out of it is an immense amount of healing. I have some of my most best friends and supportive friends from these communities now, and someone who's really always in your corner, just rooting you on or there to like help pick up the pieces. And it's so important to have a strong and sturdy support system throughout your journey. And, you know, disclaimer, it might not be your family that you've had all your life. It might not be your friends that you know for 20 years. It might not be that partner that you thought you were going to spend your whole life with. It's going to be the people that when you release what no longer serves you and you allow the things that you deserve to enter, you're going to see how your life aligns and just continues to move forward. And a toolbox. You need resources. I know you mentioned journaling, which is actually one of the best things to do because it helps you release. There are many types of ways to journal that can be effective. Meditation is another one. I'm one that I overthink a lot, so guided meditations work for me. You can find them on YouTube. Affirmations has been something that is big for me lately because I noticed that my patterns have been very negative self-talk because of my experiences. So the only way for me to kind of reverse them is whatever limiting belief or negative thought that I have, speak the inverse. Talk about the inverse, put it on a post-it. I used to take an expo marker and I wrote it on my mirror. That way, every time I looked in the morning when I got dressed, I said my affirmations and I left out the house feeling the way my affirmations made me feel. And I feel like this is important because people have a one-stop shop idea that if I get coached, that everything's going to be, you know, better in a moment. And it's not necessarily like that. It takes practice. It takes grace. It takes guidance and a lot of self-awareness. An analogy I like to use or comparison is like, think about working out, right? Say, for instance, you work out over a span of 6 months. Day 1, you want to quit. It feels hard. You don't see progress. 6 months later, you do it with ease. It's the same thing with your mindset and like the self-talk or like practicing and using the toolboxes. Day 1, it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel hard. You're not going to believe what you're saying. You're going to say, this is a joke. Like, I feel stupid doing this. It's not for me. And then you practice it every day, right? That's the key. You have to push through it. You're going to practice every day. And then 6 months down the line, you already rewired your brain to like embody what you've been saying. It's all mental, and it's like the body has a physical workout. The brain has a mental workout. You're doing a mindset workout when you're coaching yourself in this way. And that's the self-awareness and the practice that you need to have in order to achieve these things. Coaching is necessarily where the guidance comes in, right? Because sometimes we don't know where to start. I know I didn't until I got into a group. And then I was like, oh, I need to work on this, or I need to work on that. Oh, this is how you do this. Oh, that's how you do that. Like, it kind of gives you the roadmap to achieve the things you want to do in real time. And it doesn't make you feel bad about it. Grace is also needed. And I can't say that enough, because when you start to utilize those tools, some days life happens and you fall off. Some days you might miss a day. Sometimes it's for months. Sometimes it's for days. But guess what? You give yourself grace. I'm human. And you get back to it. When you get back to it, it's like muscle memory. The same muscle memory that you have when you work out physically is the mental muscle memory you gain when you put these things into practice. So even when you fall off, you're still on top because you've done it before and you know what it takes and how it feels to get out of that. So it's motivation within itself. It is very important when you just start to believe in yourself, rewire your mindset, and really push forward in an effective way. But you have to choose you. You have to make that decision. Like, I'm tired of being tired. Like, I don't understand why I keep running into the same friendships, why I keep running into the same job opportunities that I can't stand. Why do I keep having these same failed relationships? So why is my family life like this? Why is it that I'm always so easily triggered or angered? Like, there's so many things that can come to your mind, but you need to make the decision. Nobody can make it for you, to stand 10 toes down on wanting to get better for no one else but yourself. And once you do that and you take yourself seriously and you invest in yourself in any way that is, whether that's doing a social media, a social media purge, where you like take out anything that's negative on your social media, or I'm going to cut off these people because these people only speak negative over me, or I'm going to invest in this book because this book is a self-improvement book, or I'm going to join this coaching program, right? And see what it can offer me, because I want to be and do better for myself, because when I'm good for myself, then I can be of service to those around me in a big way. Sorry, I know I went off on a tangent a little bit, but there was a lot to be said.
No, that's
I love
okay.
it.
Everything.
Totally fine.
Girl.
You're dropping gems right now. Love it.
Yes.
Thank you.
So everything you said was like great. Very good ways to tell people how to incorporate that into their lifestyle and how to go inward so that outwardly they can be their best selves. Definitely reminds me of a podcast that I heard with Jay Shetty and Cynthia Erivo recently, where Cynthia Erivo, she's the actress from Wicked. She does half-a-thons. And pretty much in that podcast, she talked about how it's hard to do, but she was like, hey, you got to give yourself grace. Even if you made it out the door, that's still more than what you did yesterday. You see your progress. It's all about, micro steps and aligning to your higher self. Rome wasn't built in a day. It takes work, it takes time, but eventually you will get to be to where you want, as long as you yourself, like you said, have the motivation to uprise and keep going.
Just to like throw in also, like another thing that I run into often in my group coaching calls, and even like with myself sometimes, I've gotten better at it, but like you said, the micro steps, right? I don't know about you ladies, but I know like sometimes growing up, I didn't celebrate the little things. It wasn't always a big deal. And sometimes the big things weren't even the biggest deal, or didn't feel like the biggest deal, So you develop this pattern of going through life thinking that you have never achieved enough because you have never taken the time to kind of celebrate your small wins. Getting up out of bed in the morning is a small win. Matter of fact, it's a big win, because there's a lot of people that don't, you know what I'm saying? Or that choose to stay in their trauma state, or choose to embrace depression and all of these stuff. And I know some of these things are hard topics to kind of counter, but I promise you that once you start to work on mindset little by little, it gets better and it gets easier. When you celebrate yourself, you're filling your tank. So, oh, I did this today. I did that today. Oh, this is great. Especially with building self-trust. This is something that I had to do with myself as well. And I had a therapist as well. And she told me, like, set a small goal. And every time you accomplish that goal, you're building trust with yourself. And I think that in this world, from what I have seen, a lot of us lack self-trust because of the things that we have been through. So we're always second guessing. We're always looking for someone else's validation when we know already. So small wins, micro successes are important in your journey to acknowledge. Especially, I just hosted a vision board party, and it was amazing to see all the women show up with their goals, right? Big or small. But it was also an amazing reflection for me, because the last 3 vision boards, you really see the progression of how much you can achieve. And you come to the realization of, wow, I was so busy trying to, look forward and do everything that I possibly could to reach the next goal, that I have not seen how far I've come, how much I accomplished. So I'm over here being extra hard on myself, but I've came such a long way. I have done the things that I have prayed for in the past. So it's important to acknowledge those moments too. Sorry, another tangent, but
That's okay. Take your time. I agree with you on that part where you said celebrate your small wins, because we live in such a hustle culture where we are always constantly in our brains thinking, okay, the next step. Okay, we just did this, but we still have to keep going, that we never, take the time to slow down and be like, oh my God, I just did something very good today, or something beautiful happened to me today. I think it's important to also develop systems that work for the individuals. I want to say one of my personal goals for 2025, I'm trying to establish a better night routine where I turn off the phone, the screens, because we're so plugged in all the time, and just, write down 3 things that I'm grateful for, be in the present moment, and go to sleep. Have nice, restful sleep. These are important. Celebrate the small wins, because again, like you said, it's a trust to yourself. What is one of your favorite quotes?
Ooh, I have a few. I think my top one, and this has like driven me through life, is really be the change you want to see in this world. I feel like that quote is just so impactful because anybody can sit around, watch the world, and judge. But when you really are so driven to just make some form of change, it just hits different. And for me, if I could give you a little background story, like because of that quote, I decided to go into teaching because I felt like what better way to be the change you want to see in this world than to help the young kids, right? Because I taught kindergarten, pre-K first, how to grow up to not only be good academically, right? But also instill good morals and values in them, how to have manners, how to treat each other, how to be good little human beings, because those are skills, life skills that they're going to also be able to take with them as they grow up. That was how I envisioned being the change that I wanted to see 15 years ago when I became a teacher. And now, over the last year and a half, I realized that in having the growth within myself, that my aim has shifted to now helping the adults that have these kids heal so that their children wouldn't have to. My favorite quote.
I love that. It is about paying it forward. And if you can be the best version of yourself or the best at what it is that you do, and, each one, there's this like, I remember growing up, there's this motto like, each one teach one, something like that. You are definitely one that is touching lives through whether being a teacher and your community group and life coaching. I'm happy to know where you are now and the journey, getting insights into the journey, because we all have a story to tell. We've all been through highs and lows. Celebrating and reflecting and knowing that you can shift the narrative. It is in your power to do so. Just shift your mindset. I thank you so much for dropping those gems, because we need more of this positive talk as well as tough love. I feel like at least when you talk about life coaching, that tough love is necessary, but not in a harsh, demeaning way, not at all, but more in a sense of like, get it together in a friendly way, and I'm here for you, and I hear you and I see you and I feel you and I get it, because we definitely come in different, broken pieces or put together, healed, not fully healed. It doesn't matter. You make it seem fun, and with more clarity I've gained through this conversation about life coaching and shifting your mindset. I hope our listeners get a hold of you. Can you please let us know how they can get in contact with you and your coaching services?
For sure. You guys can find me on Instagram at sera.rivera.coaching. And that's Sera, Sera, because your girl's a little unique over here. Or my main Instagram page, which is at sera.emily.rivera. And there you kind of just get an insight of not only things of coaching, but also of who I am as a person to my core. You can also click the link in my bio there and you'll find all my services and what I offer. Currently, my emphasis is just on my group coaching calls, and these coaching calls are every Monday at 7:30 p.m. They can last anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour and a half, give or take the topic of conversation and the engagement of the ladies that are in the group. We talk about all things healing, and then some of the topics we've covered is how to develop effective boundaries, why is healing so vital to your success, manifestation, why is it important? And you'll learn that in each group coaching call, you'll hear experiences from not only me, but other women who you can relate to in some way, shape, or form, and you don't feel alone. And this is why community is so important. This is why my heart just like kept pointing into the direction of creating this type of community again, because I know what it has done for me in my healing process. So it's every Monday, 7:30, a group of women only, sorry fellas, coming together and just vibing off of each other in the most authentic, unjudgmental way. If you're like me, I'm also a mom and I'm a teacher. So I don't have much adult interaction, I feel. So these group coaching calls are everything to me because I get to share space with like-minded women. And you'll get them 4 times a month because they're every Monday and for only $24.99. So less than a cup of coffee if you think about it a day, and you'll get to invest in yourself in a big way. I this year also opened up my one-on-one coaching calls too. If you're looking for something more tailored to your needs, whether that be understanding your emotions or achieving and reaching a goal and you need help finding a plan, I'm your girl to do that as well. And just be on the lookout for all the events I have coming up. I have a box fit and mindset event happening in New York, most likely in June. And then we're going to have other events that happen in between. I just had a virtual vision board party. Like, one thing about me is whatever I do, we're going to do it effectively, but we're also going to make it fun. If you feel it on your heart, if you're tired of being tired, if you feel stagnant, if you feel like you lost who you are, if you want to understand your emotions and why you're doing what you do, if you want to reach a level of success that you can't even imagine, then hit me up. Let's get this journey started, and I'll help you out.
You heard it here on Presente. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you, ladies, so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for inspiring not only females out there, empowering us, but also the young minds. That's very important. And for spreading light in your unique ways, and for teaching others how to break the walls in their own mind and how to build something for themselves that can help them progress in time. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. If I could just throw in one more thing that I feel is super important. I do these things, I learn these things, and I offer these services not because it's an achievement for me. Like, I've been on the other side. I know what it's like to go through heartbreak, to go through abuse, to go through grief in all ways, to go through limiting beliefs, low self-worth, like feeling unworthy. I have been there. I have been through some of my darkest times, and I've ended up on the light side. What good would I be if I don't share those tools and resources with others to help get them out of the same situations and understand that they are more than where they are now? So I just wanted to throw that in there because I know a lot of times, like, people do things for a reason that is not of purpose. And for me, like, there's this quote that I have on my vision board. And it says, the purpose of pain is to make you find the true purpose of your life. And I cannot fathom thinking that everything I went through in this lifetime would be in vain. Like, it's going to be for a greater purpose. And for all you ladies out there that are going through something, you're not alone. Find your community, whether it be with me or someone else, and just like bet on yourself. What's going on? It's your girl, Sera Rivera, your favorite life coach, and you're tuning into Presente Podcast.
Shift your mindset.
It's not a sign of weakness to seek guidance, rather an investment on your road to life. A guide will only want the best for you. This is for all my introverts too. Even one person can make a difference in your life. Therapy, coaches, and mentors can help keep you motivated, encouraged, and support you to take a leap out of your comfort zone. I myself had a mentor to help me or guide me in my career path at New York Institute of Technology. I was glad for it because it meant someone else before me could give me insight on how to understand I could take my career goals further and accomplish them. I too was also a mentor to college undergrads and found this amazing opportunity to support or encourage students in the field and how they can make an impact. Shout out to my higher education opportunity program, New York Institute of Technology family. Also, Jen's included in this list because she's a good soul and a good mentor.
Wow, thank you, Jissela. I wasn't expecting that. I appreciate your kind words and glad to be of assistance as a mentor for you. I've definitely seen your growth. And truth is, guys, whether in personal growth, professional success, or overcoming adversity, the mindset we adopt can either limit or unleash our full potential. Understand that mindset is everything. Empower yourself, empower others. The right mindset can significantly enhance motivation and overall achievements. Take control, reframe challenges, and unlock opportunities that may have seemed out of reach. Flip the switch to positive.